Young Thug's non-negotiable plea deal that he accepted in October 2024 meant that he had pled guilty to drug, gun, and gang charges and no contest to RICO and gang leader counts. In taking this deal, Thug had essentially admitted that YSL was a criminal street gang, an admission that could have theoretically hurt the chance of any defendant still facing charges. That deal ironically put Young Thug in the very same shoes as Gunna, who was famously labelled a snitch for his actions in the trial too, with Gunna being one of the first major defendants to take a plea deal. In Gunna's case though, his Alford plea allowed him to maintain his innocence while acknowledging that the state had enough evidence to potentially convict him.
And it's Atlanta rapper Gunna walked out of the Fulton County Jail. The rapper, whose real name is Sergio Kitchens, entered a negotiated guilty plea.
But as part of that deal, he would have to agree to statements read in the court that YSL was both a music label and a criminal gang, and that he had personal knowledge of YSL's crimes.
I became affiliated with YSL around 2016. Is that true as it pertains to you, Mr. Kitchens?
Yes, ma'am.
YSL is a music label and a gang, and you have personal knowledge that members or associates of YSL have committed crimes in furtherance of the gang.
Yes, ma'am.
You were present when law enforcement officers stopped a vehicle in which you were present along with Jeffrey Williams, wherein hydrocodone, methamphetamines, and a firearm were recovered. These items did not belong to you.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, Gunna's Alford plea came with very specific stipulations. His statements applied to his case alone. The plea statement could only be used against other YSL co-defendants if Gunna took the stand. Yet even at the time that Gunna made the agreement, sources revealed that the state had no intention of calling Gunna as a witness. Still, the reaction within Atlanta and beyond sparked outrage. Redditors expressed complete shock at how casually Gunna was snitching. People were in disbelief that he would actually say yes ma'am in response to the statement that YSL was a gang. And the backlash was not exclusive to fans either. The most painful betrayals came from his close friends and collaborators, including 21 Savage, Future, Nav, and Travis Scott. Even Lil Baby, who was taught how to rap by Gunna himself. Lil Durk, despite having worked on music with Gunna in the past, was one of the first to take shots at him publicly. In a snippet in January 2023, he rapped "What Happened to Virgil, He Probably Gon' Tell," referencing his earlier track "What Happened to Virgil" that was a collaboration with Gunna. Lil Durk also put the final nail in Gunna's coffin when he did an interview with DJ Academics and said outright that he was a rat.
Do you believe that Gunna is a snitch? Huh? Do you believe that Gunna told that man? I don't sit up and play games, man. That man told. You should have went in there and kept your mouth closed.
Gunna, however, wouldn't be the last person to take a plea deal in the case. YSL member Walter Murphy, who prosecutors alleged founded YSL alongside Thug, took a plea deal as well and even agreed to testify. Rappers Slime Life Shorty and Lil Duke also accepted plea deals. But even more damning, in the same month that Gunna took his Alford plea, Young Thug's own brother Unfunk would plead out to avoid a lengthy prison sentence himself. In a phone call recorded while Young Thug was still in jail fighting his charges, 21 Savage would ask Thug if he had told his brother to make the agreement, something that he swore on God that he didn't do.
But you seen your brother plea?
Most definitely.
But he said you told him to do that.
Man, watch out.
Man, oh God, that's what he telling the street.
Man, oh God, he kept. On that same God, he kept.
Thug then pushed the same narrative that Gunna taking his plea made it cool for the rest to do the same.
Nigga, you took a plea first, so you done never made it cool for everybody else to take a plea. Like, I don't respect that.
But unlike Gunna, years later, when Young Thug was catching heat for his 2-hour interrogation video that leaked, Thug would go on Twitter and defend his brother's decision, admitting to the world that he had actually told his brother to take the deal to spare his mother being away from her son any longer. Even Young Thug, eventually taking his plea deal nearly 2 years after Gunna's, would ultimately make similar admissions, pleading guilty to gang charges to get out early. The main difference was that Thug's plea was structured as a blind plea, meaning he didn't have to agree to factual stipulations like Gunna had, but also foregoing any foresight about a potential sentence before handing in that plea.
Since your guilty plea is a blind plea or a non-negotiated plea, the state is making a recommendation of sentencing to the court.
Young Thug had also accepted a plea to secure his release, just like Gunna did. Thug's deal also required him to admit some facts too, such as gang participation. But Thug claimed that Gunna's statement about YSL being a gang ultimately made the state's case stronger.
It's a gang. He said YSL is a gang, and he know people in this on this trial who committed crimes in furtherance of the game. That means you did it.
Yet Gunna's statements were never used in trial, and Thug's own pleas and admissions had also validated the prosecution's case against YSL.
57, participation in criminal street gang activity. How do you plead?
I plead guilty.
Yet somehow, in the court of street opinion, these two nearly identical pleas were treated completely differently. Gunna was branded a rat, while Thug was seen as a victim of circumstance. But perhaps even more revealing was Thug's phone call with 21 Savage that leaked in August 2025, exposing the calculated and manipulative nature of the entire smear campaign against Gunna that Thug had orchestrated from behind bars while still awaiting his plea. On the call, young Thug would desperately try to sabotage Gunna's career by asking 21 Savage for a verse so he could include it on his album Business is Business that he was planning to release the same day as Gunna's Gift and a Curse.
Man, bro, I'm trying to drop an album the same day Gunna drop, bro. You need to, y'all sent you a song, put a verse on it.
On the call, he would brag about having held Gunna down in the past and being the one who signed him.
He dropped Friday. How do you think I ain't gonna know he signed me? He dropped Friday for sure? Man, 100%. Friday. I can hold his back if I want to.
21, on the other hand, would suggest that Thug should have capitalized on the situation by squeezing a bigger share of Gunna's album sales in exchange for publicly clearing up his snitching allegations.
Bro, please go to the studio and do the song, bro.
Yeah, I'm finna do it. I'm saying, I don't think you should play it like that, bro.
Why?
I feel like you should have just made that come in, like cleaned his face up and made him come in more. Like, if I need 80% of everything, 70%, I'm gonna tarnish your face card. Because you gotta think about it, but bro, at the end of the day, bro, you did what you did, but we gotta capitalize on everything we do in life, bro. Like,
21 would also try and convince Thug that Gunna wasn't ever really in the streets like that and that he didn't earn loyalty the same way they did, essentially poisoning Thug's mind against his former protege.
He ain't, bro. I'm saying, like, we earn a loyalty different than probably how he do to a certain extent. You know what I'm saying?
Most definitely.
Not like we different, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
I don't know though. Like,
he would suggest that Gunna accepted his plea deal to get out for a woman.
Deserve that. You don't deserve no did that to get out for a bro. Listen to a jail calling just straight just, damn, man. I love you, baby. What you doing? Man, yeah, I'm gonna be back with you in a minute. Yeah.
Later on the call, when Thug expressed his desire to redo Gunna's contract and get 4 more albums out of him, 21 would enthusiastically respond, telling Thug to make Gunna pay for his mistake.
Hey, tell them I want to redo it. I want to redo bruh's contract. So I want to put them. I want to make them 4 more albums.
No, I heard you loud and clear.
You heard me?
I heard you loud and clear. Yeah. Had to pay for your mistakes, bro.
Ironically, the man claiming to be betrayed by a rat was actively trying to profit off of that same person's career, and in addition to those leaked phone calls, the full extent of Thug's hypocrisy would come to light.
I don't know, honestly, I don't know who the did. They said Roscoe, but I don't wanna block out y'all case by saying Roscoe didn't do that. They knowing Roscoe? Man.
When his interrogation video revealed that he had spoken openly to police about everything from Pee Wee Roscoe's activities in the streets.
I'm sure you know what happened in Cobb County, right? With Pee Wee and all that crap.
Oh, Roscoe?
Yeah, Roscoe.
Oh, yeah, with that little one?
Yeah. There's a lot of stories, I guess, that are out there. Who knows if they're freaking true or not, you know what I'm saying? But that's why we're here kind of...
To Lil Wayne's beef with Birdman.
Like 2 or 3 months after he dropped the mixtape, you heard TMZ and all, like, he's suing Birdman because Birdman owed him for albums. And then that was when everybody was like, oh, he owed this motherfucker. That's why they beat.
Just when you thought things couldn't get any worse, online detectives would dig up another piece of paperwork from the YSL trial that allegedly pointed to Thug snitching again. According to a motion filed in the summer of 2023, Thug's defense team was trying to stop a detective named Quinn from testifying that he had talked with Thug years ago in the back of his police car, a conversation during which Thug had allegedly offered up information relating to a murder that hadn't been included in the YSL trial. As part of the motion, Thug's defense asserted the claim was entirely false and that the alleged incident never occurred. Moreover, what appeared to be a response based on Detective Quinn's testimony, this supposed murder was not the murder of Big Nut and the alleged discussion was therefore irrelevant to the current trial, while also adding that young Thug had been very young during this supposed interaction with the detectives. However, this paperwork had in fact been out since young Thug's trial, and the YouTuber 1090 Jake had even done a full breakdown on it back then. According to Jake, the most likely motive for the prosecution to try and include this detective's testimony would have been to try and make Thug look like a possible snitch, so the other people in the case might turn on him and testify themselves, adding that based on this little information, there is simply no telling what might or might not have happened in the back of that police car.
Now, when I saw this motion, I'm not gonna lie, I was surprised. But thinking about it, rereading it, going over everything in my head, what would the purpose be of the prosecutors trying to bring in a detective who's been retired for years just for him to say, hey, Young Thug told me about a murder way back when? What is the point of bringing this back up other than to affect Thug's reputation? If we can portray him as a snitch, showing he formally cooperated after other snitches in the case have already been exposed, which is detrimental because nobody wants to testify now. So if the prosecutors can make Thug look like a rat, maybe the actual rats in the case, they won't care to go up on the stand and say something against him. No details were given as to what he actually said. Juvenile gets picked up. Hey, what happened in this situation? I don't know what happened. Or he lied. Or he did a little finesse. Or he did whatever he did. I don't know. I know that people will come up with a million excuses. And I know that there's some excuses that are going to be valid. If he gave fake information, if he gave a fake name, if he gave a fake scenario, whatever, and the detective wrote that down, the detective is going to say, well, he gave me information. Whether or not it was valid or not, we don't know. So, no, I'm not going for Thug's a snitch. I'm not going for none of the rumors or the accusations. We don't have enough proof to stamp that.
Thug himself even tried to get ahead of this newest paperwork drama, tweeting it with the caption that this event just never happened. This will be an interesting point, as when Young Thug appeared on $1 million worth of game, he would trash snitches in his usual style, and when told that some people snitched in the back of the police car, he would uncomfortably scratch his head in what I believe to be something of a tell.
They still gotta take you in. They already wrote the ticket. They already called it in. No matter what you tell the police.
Telling in the police car. You in the car getting busy.
Yeah, you think this man finna pull over and let your out the car. You think this finna pull over and let your
Whatever the case was, there would be no denying that this was yet another bad look for Thugger, and the pressure continued piling on as he continued to crash out. Meanwhile, Woody on his stream would also provide his theories, going on to say that Thug and Pee Wee were ready to crash out because they're the ones with the most dirt on them.
But let me tell you something, them crash out mode, because they know they the most dirtiest ones. So they in crash out mode.
He would allege that Birdman or someone else powerful had cut ties with Thug because of the snitching allegations had hurt his feelings, while suggesting that Pee Wee's aggressive defense of Thug was purely emotional.
Whoever it is ain't messing with him because they knew what was going on. And now it don't got Pee Wee started because Pee Wee loved Thug just like a lot of us do. And Pee Wee got on this internet and he ran his mouth and he bring up our name and he just ain't thinking. He react off his emotion. Just like me.
As more evidence surfaced that suggested that Thug had a long history of talking to the police, the streets begun to reach their own conclusions about Thug being ready to throw his homies under the bus for 2 hours straight without a second thought, just to try and get the police off his own back. On YouTube, some fans would also turn on Thug, with some saying he was a worse snitch than Gunna, and that he'd been a hypocrite for calling Gunna out, when really he had done far worse. Others, however, would take this with a grain of salt, disregarding the hypocrite that Thug had been exposed as, simply asking for music. Gunna himself, though, has been largely quiet and has let his success speak for itself. After a rough start following his release in December 2022, he slowly built his career back up stronger than ever, while also immediately starting his impressive physical transformation after becoming a free man and getting in impeccable shape, while Young Thug was still sat behind bars surviving on chocolate and chips, and apparently gossiping all day on the phone in recorded jail calls, which he would later come to regret.
So my workout journey started after my release. Was working out in jail a little bit, but like when I got out, I started doing runs, like 3-mile runs, trails in the back of my house.
6 months after striking his plea deal in June 2023, Gunna released his album A Gift and a Curse, a project which addressed his legal struggles and maintained his innocence, debuting at number 3 on the Billboard 200. This was followed directly by Thug's Business is Business a week later, a collection of older, mostly already recorded material pieced together as a project during his incarceration, which debuted at number 2, but the reviews were mixed, and the album was heavily criticized for its lack of creativity and repetitiveness. Its lack of replayability reflected in the 11 weeks that it spent in the charts, while Gunna's Gift and a Curse ended up spending 43 weeks on the charts. Leaked jail phone calls later revealed that Thug had attempted to ruin Gunna's rollout by releasing his album Business is Business on the very same day.
I can hold his back if I want to. If my album don't be ready, I can hold it back, but Drake already sent the song called, the name of my album, I'm gonna drop my album on the same day he dropped, and it's called Business is Business.
During this time, Thug apparently felt let down by Lil Durk, who had promised him a verse for his Business is Business project, but never followed through.
I done sent him a few songs, and he just like, I know for sure going right up. He just got down, taking his time, you know.
Man,
4-5 days,
Yeah.
10 days later, just like that little type like, man, you got going on, man.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah, I already know what you mean.
like, man, you gonna do too much for you, man. Watch out.
Yeah.
He did that
Yeah,
on
when
that
this shit
album,
drop.
too. Yeah, I want them on
For
my
real.
album. Hell yeah.
But even while dealing with subliminal insults from Lil Baby, Lil Durk and more over his snitching allegations, Gunna kept it pushing. His next album, One of One, dropped in May 2024, showcasing his signature melodic style and proving to be another commercial success, debuting at number 2 on the Billboard 200, further solidifying his successful comeback. And both of Gunna's albums post-plea ended up outperforming Thug's Business is Business in terms of both Billboard chart longevity and streaming numbers. Then in October 2024, Thug took a plea deal and got released from jail too. His probation terms prohibited him from promoting any criminal street activity, including using hand signs, terminology, or language related to it. That directly affected what he could rap about, but at the same time, expectations for his releases were at an all-time high, with one post on the Young Thug subreddit reading 36 hours later, no first day out, showing that the fans were waiting impatiently for his comeback. But according to his sister, Thug needed time to heal mentally. Up until that point, Gunna had shown nothing but love and support for Thug, but now that Thug was back out and able to use social media, he publicly shunned Gunna and refused to support, telling him to stop acting like they're friends and saying that he doesn't even know him, seemingly enjoying the power that he now held over Gunna's image, while at the same time, perhaps also becoming nervous and jealous that his power could be slowly fading away. Then, when Gunna decided to fully move on by covering up his YSL tattoo, Thug was in the comments saying, I mean, he did just say that YSL must end, once again showing the pettiness and perhaps sheer joy that he was getting out of dunking on Gunna. And while this was an objectively pretty funny comment, it came to show that while Gunna's priorities and focus lay solely on his music and success and being more mature about the situation, Thug had other ideas and was continuing to be childish. Thug's delayed return to music came almost 3 months after his release at the start of 2025 on Lil Baby's album Wham! On the track Dumb Dumb and Dumber, where he featured with Future, the song wasn't greatly received. It was a delayed return to form that Pitchfork called a return to business as usual. He was seemingly still recovering from his lyrics being used in court, expressing that he had to watch what he rapped about, not just for the law, but also for his community.
I normally like rap about cool things, you know? I just got like a few lyrics where I just rap about street stuff. And those are the lyrics that they try to use against me. But most of the time I don't rap about that type of stuff, you know?
Does it make you think twice about rapping about street stuff?
Yeah, because just like the impact that you got on the community, the youth, and not because of like the law. It's more so just like realistically, like kids actually listen to us. Like, all right, we gotta like dumb it down, so.
But interestingly, Young Thug started his verse defiantly, saying that he didn't even feel like he'd been locked up for real and he was having his way the whole time, but the leaked phone calls that came later told a completely different story. Thug would go on to continue to back himself into a corner during Diddy's Freako trial, when Thug whipped up some controversy by calling Kid Cudi a rat for testifying against the diddler. At this point, it seemed the majority of people were actually just getting tired of Thug's tough guy snitch-hating BS.
Yo, real quick though, how y'all feel about Thug calling Cudi a rat? Call him a rat.
What the f? He's a subpoenaed witness. How? How does snitch culture overlap with this when you are subpoenaed, but you have a federal subpoena?
He's a civilian.
Did Kid Cudi remove himself from hip hop?
I stand with Thug on this one.
Yeah, did he freeze? Did Kid
Shut
Cudi?
up, Mark.
What?
You're such a liar.
On my mama.
He does. No, you don't.
How?
They wanted him to stop tweeting and start making music, and then he would go on to release the track Money on Money featuring Future in April. But this was badly received too, and with this being the intended lead-up single for his upcoming album I Scooty, it was rumored that the poor reaction to this song led the album to being delayed. Users of the Young Thug subreddit openly questioned what happened to Thug, noting a perceived decline in relevance and output, as well as a falling quality of music, with one user calling the performance on Money as lackluster, generic, and a little bit too safe, while another editor claimed he could only hope that Thug was saving the good stuff for the rest of his album. Meanwhile, Gunna caught up to Thug and even surpassed him on multiple fronts, reaching the same amount of Billboard Hot 100 entries by August 2025 and surpassing and maintaining his lead over Young Thug's monthly listeners on Spotify. And even as the whole Young Thug snitching saga unfolded, Gunna seemingly maintained his silence and mature demeanor throughout, although commentators like academics even theorized that maybe it was Gunna's team that would have been behind the leaks of the phone calls since they only targeted Thug, explaining during one of his streams that some of the leaks could only have been obtained by the lawyers of somebody who'd been involved in the case.
Jail calls. Now, if you're wondering how the jail calls are getting out there, I'm almost certain Gunna's team is leaking it to his fan pages. I'm almost certain, okay? I know they're not going to agree to it, right? But I'm almost certain that Gunna's lawyers pulled, because yes, when you're in the case, you don't have to go through a Freedom of Information Act or anything like this, and some of these things would even be available.
If this theory is true, according to Gunna fan pages, the next leaked audio may well be one of Thug dissing Future, which if true, could be the final nail in his coffin. Young Thug's narcissistic tendencies were on full display in a number of other calls that were leaked during his time in prison before he took his plea. Another leaked call would cause the mask to slip further, as Thug was exposed for being salty about not receiving a verse from Kendrick Lamar for his Business is Business album. On the call, Thug was heard saying that he hopes Kendrick does the verse and asking if Kendrick has a price to appear, and being disappointed when he was told that a Kendrick Lamar verse can't simply be bought.
With the racks, with Kendrick, Future grocery bag. Say again?
I hope he do it.
So do I. I mean, well, even if you don't get...
He don't take no money, do he?
No. He wouldn't do that. Just think about it. He does so few verses. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's not just doing verses. Like,
Thug will be told the only person who gets verses from Kendrick is his artist Baby Keem, with Thug ranting about how he doesn't like Kendrick because of the way he's so selective, and asks why he shouldn't be entitled to a verse from him.
The only other person that gets a Kendrick verse is Baby Keem, and that's like his cousin or his nephew or something.
Right. You getting all the damn verses to this man. What the heck you doing, crazy? All that fake. I ain't getting no rapper songs. I don't be liking them type of shit like that.
Why?
Being too big. I don't want to do no feature. Why? Why you don't want to do no feature?
Thug would go on to say that he thinks he's a superstar and that Kendrick should want to go on a song with him, suggesting the song he wanted to get him on was one with Lil Durk and Lil Baby.
Why wouldn't you want to do a feature for a superstar? Like, you ain't like goddamn Strict calling you for a song, you know? Like,
yeah.
You really got Lil Durk calling you for a song, Lil Baby, Thug, real superstar calling you for a song. Why wouldn't you do the song? We lit, nigga. We going #1 too. What you thinking?
Now, clearly Thug wasn't thinking, because he had Drake on his Business is Business album twice, and Kendrick Lamar, as we now know, hates Drake. But Thug would go on to rant how this is the reason why Kendrick will never be bigger than Drake, clearly acknowledging their beef and saying how Drake has changed more people's lives and suggesting that Kendrick put him on, as well as dragging Kendrick's artist Baby Keem, saying that Kendrick doesn't put him on because their songs don't do numbers.
Who bless me, that's why will never be bigger than Drake, ever in life. Never be bigger than Buddy. Buddy gonna do it right. Buddy for everybody. You know how many like Drake change? How many can take care of their family because of Buddy? Just like straight with you. Kendrick goddamn put him on. Y'all, you're a superstar. You don't ran up you a few hundred him, but you ain't put nobody on though. You see what I'm saying? You ain't even put Keem on. Cause the shit on him doing this ain't really doing that.
Thug would go on to say that Kendrick might be up a few $100 million, but he's never helped anyone, and that Baby Keem can't sell tickets.
You ran you a few hundred M's up, but who you helped though? He ain't really helped nobody. It's the saying. You did all that shit, but man, he ain't helped nobody. Really gaining no fans off of you. Keem ain't big. Keem love hell. They can't sell no ticket. Watch out.
Thug goes on to say that he truly believes that if Kendrick Lamar does a song with him, Lil Baby, Lil Durk, 21 Savage, and Moneybagg Yo, Kendrick's name will be trending in the streets.
I truly believe you do a song with me, Wham, Durk, Moneybagg, Savage. I truly believe we'll have your dope trending, like, cause it's gonna be like people in the real world with you, not the goddamn, not the rap world. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be real players and cool lit and players and like that. You them type of people ain't with you. You gonna get like the real streets and the real people with you. You gonna get the East Coast. East Coast ain't you, bro.
Now, this was an ironic point to make because Kendrick went on to prove not only can he do Drake's numbers, but he's also landed #1 song solo without any help, an achievement that Young Thug could not claim himself. Kendrick even had a solo #1 all the way back in 2017, where the world was still getting familiar with Young Thug. And this jail call tantrum is made even more ironic by the fact that when Kendrick Lamar went #1 again with his Drake diss Not Like Us, he actually dissed Drake for doing what Thug was suggesting he do on this phone call, calling out Drake for using Atlanta street culture just to score clout and cool points, and even specifically mentioning Thug by name, saying that he must have made Drake feel like he was a YSL gang member too. From here, Thug continued to lament how he hates how Kendrick is keeping all of the verses for himself and is sat in a studio making solo albums, and that he should have been clout riding Atlanta rappers for street cred just like Drake does.
You really trying to keep all the blessings to yourself. You really trying to keep everything to yourself. You really sit in the studio and work on the album and don't put nobody on the album. Like, God damn, bro, you ain't gonna with nobody? You ain't gonna bless nobody? Bullshit king? Like, but it's like, what the hell is you doing? You supposed to be with me, Wham, Dirt, Savvy. You supposed to be with us. You supposed to be calling us like, hey man, I want y'all on my album. I'm on some players this time around. I'm on some players. Like, come on, man, god damn.
Thug would then say that he doesn't even care if he does the song or not, and that he's good regardless, and he would joke how he should continue being rare and make Young Thug's album cover his only post on Instagram in 6 years so he can get millions of likes, going on to say, what does being rare even prove?
I don't know though. He crazy.
Right.
Yeah. Hopefully he do the song though. If he don't, I ain't really giving no damn.
We'll still be good.
Yeah, over good. Continue being rap, man. You know what I'm saying? Continue being rap, man. Stay supportive.
Yeah.
Put my album cover or something, man. Stay supportive, man. All that. I ain't posting no pictures. Man, watch out. Don't care about all that shit, man. Nobody don't give no about none of that. I guarantee you, your first post you post, that motherfucker do 1 million or 2 million likes. You can get out in the next 16 years. You not finna get on here and get no 100 million likes on your post. You're not Kim Kardashian, man. So whatever you call yourself doing with your internet, and if you just want to prove like, oh, I won't be on the internet, what is that proving? What they do? What you do? Instagram is meant for pictures, man. Post your picture, bro. Or just delete your Instagram.
Ironically, in another leaked call, Young Thug appeared to admit to paying for fake streams on 2 occasions. Firstly, claiming to have spent $50,000 to buy fake streams so that Gunna's Drip Season Forever project would debut at #1 on the Billboard charts over the weekend.
You know, like, the #1 album you just had right now, I paid for you to have a #1 album. You didn't, you know what I'm saying, honestly earn a #1 album over the weekend, my boy. I paid for that shit. I never said that to him. I never told him that, you know, cause we just got the plug on that. Like, you never earned a #1 album. I spent 50 extra grand buying streams, $50,000 buying streams for you. For you to be weak.
And Thug would ironically go on to expose himself in another leaked phone call where he expressed frustration at losing the #1 slot on Billboard to Morgan Wallen, who was in his 15th week since dropping the album, with Young Thug asking around if he could buy streams to beat him too.
That would be historic.
Right.
And even if Uzi moves, we still have to deal with Morgan Wallen because he's doing 100,000 every week, no matter what.
You think we're gonna beat the boy?
Yo, my man, I'm not going to sleep until we beat him. So whatever happens.
Yeah, let's try to beat that. You still got that plug, right? That's what we did with none of them. You still got that plug?
Yeah.
This last statement, in combination with the conversation with 21 Savage, is peculiar because if after the fallout, Young Thug would have been unlikely to have bought streams for Gunna's Gift and a Curse album, and if he was caught on the phone actively telling his team to buy streams for his Business is Business album that he wanted to drop on the same week as A Gift and a Curse to dunk on Gunna, but then ended up dropping it a week later, with Gift and a Curse going #3 on Billboard and Business is Business going #2 on Billboard with a margin of less than 10,000 sales between the albums, it's highly possible that without the help of bought streams, Gunna's album may well have outperformed Young Thug's album in the first week. Perhaps we'll never know, but if one thing's true, it's that these leaked phone calls and interrogation audios have done phenomenal damage to Young Thug's reputation and exposed long-time expected fraudulent activity in the music industry to be true.